What's the most extreme way you've gone to avoid someone or something? Oh boy, I've got a story for this one that's kind of embarrassing, but also kind of hilarious in hindsight. So, back in college, I found myself in a situation where I really needed to avoid a person. There was this guy in one of my classes who had a huge crush on me, and while I appreciated the attention at first, it quickly turned into something really uncomfortable. He started following me around, showing up in places where I didn't even expect to see him, and asking me out pretty much every time we crossed paths. Now, I'm the type of person who doesn't like confrontation, so I tried every subtle tactic to get the message across without directly rejecting him. I'd be vague about plans, avoid eye contact, and even accidentally walk in the opposite direction when I saw him coming. But after a couple of weeks, none of it worked, and I was getting more and more anxious about running into him. So, I decided to take extreme measures. One day, I had a class with him, and I knew I had to show up, but I was mentally preparing myself for the awkward encounter. Instead of just walking into the building like a normal person, I decided to enter through a different door to avoid him. Then, when I saw him in the hallway, I pretended I didn't see him and hid behind a wall. But that wasn't enough. Oh no, I had to be extra cautious. I went so far as to change my usual route to class, even taking a longer way around campus to avoid him completely. It didn't stop there, though. On one particularly bad day, he sent me a message asking if I wanted to grab lunch. Without thinking, I told him I was already eating with someone else, then proceeded to drive across town to a cafe I had no intention of going to, just so I wouldn't run into him. I had my own little lunch alone, and it was like the most dramatic thing I've ever done to avoid one person. Eventually, after about a month of me taking these over-the-top steps to avoid him, he finally got the hint and stopped pursuing me. I realized I probably went way overboard, but it was honestly such a relief when I could finally stop planning my entire day around dodging him. Looking back, it's honestly kind of embarrassing, but I was just so terrified of confrontation that I went all out in my efforts. Anyone else had to go to crazy lengths to avoid someone? What's your I went too far story?